everybody, it's Shelley Hoffman, and I don't know why I'm always so excited to talk to you on Wednesdays, Mayor, but I am. It makes my day to find out what's happening in the village. So I appreciate you taking the time to be here.
And
So how have you been?
I've been good, and the village has been pretty good. I just wanted to point out, it's hard to tell because this is an old shirt, and I'm wearing a blackish T-shirt underneath it, so it takes away the pinkness. This is the only pink shirt I have, but in recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I wanted to wear pink. I had seen a story the other day that giving was down, and you can understand people who might have thrown in $10, $20 donation, that's buying groceries for their family now. So I thought by heightening awareness a little bit, maybe people who had been reluctant to, give a couple bucks would say, it's for a good cause. I had 5 people in my immediate family growing up. My one sister had breast cancer, another sister had lung cancer. Both of them survived, thankfully. My mother died of leukemia, and my dad had colon cancer. I'm the only one so far who hasn't.
Knock on some wood.
I haven't
Find some wood and knock on that.
I haven't gotten a diagnosis, but we've lost a lot of friends. My wife lost, her brother to cancer, her mother. So whatever your cancer is, support them. Help find a cure. There's some that are better than others to give to as far as the way the money's handled. People are going to have to look into that themselves. I can't tell you which is the best cancer organization. Some of them, all the money goes to cancer research. Some of them, a lot of it does. You have to do a little homework, but just to know that there's extra money to look into and maybe finding that one little gene or that one little something that would stop people from having to suffer like that down the road, that would be wonderful. I mean, we see what's going on with the virus and how hard it is for them to come up with anything that nobody agrees with anybody on treatments and vaccines. And so this is my faded salute to all the cancer organizations, but particularly this month, breast cancer awareness.
I don't know if you watched Chief Leffencheck, but the police this month are wearing pink name tags in honor to support breast cancer awareness month.
It's a small token, but I'm sure will mean something to certain people if they see them. It'll make them feel good that the police are, on board and supporting the cause. So, just if you're having financial problems, and I'm not asking you to give up, medicine or food for your kids or something, but for those who just maybe because they've been at home, haven't had somebody passing around a sheet that says, "Are you going to donate this year?" Try to find a way to make a small donation. The little donations by a lot of people add up to a lot of money. So, okay. Things are going pretty good in the village. Normal stuff going on. I did want to get a couple things out about Halloween. I can't remember when I got the word last week from the county that they had no problems with trick-or-treating as long as we emphasize to people, the usual, keep distance. If you're walking down the street and there's 6 people ahead of you, stay back of them a little bit. Don't jam up at people's houses. I know that Megan O'Donnell was working on a release that we'll probably have on our Facebook site and our website very quickly. The chief was going to make a couple small edits, but it's just advising people that are giving candy to not have people reach into a jar to grab some. If you can find a way. One year, a fellow down the street, Ron Rumpf, used to do a real fancy Halloween thing every year. And one year he was a frog in the middle of a pond, which was in his garage, and the pond was a tarp. And they had lily pads on it and had cut a hole in it, and he was in the hole, and he had a fishing pole, or they had a fishing pole at the doorway, so the kid had to pick up the pole, make the line, which had some sort of a little contraption on the end of the line, and then he would put the candy in that, and then the kid would pull it back out and head down the street. that'd be a good idea for somebody to come up with something like that, so you don't have to get face to face with people. Please wear masks if you're going to be closer than 6 feet. Try not to get closer than 6 feet. We're going to come up with a time, whether we do the normal 6 to 8 suggested time in the village type stuff. People should be looking on our Facebook, Village of Baldwinsville Facebook site, or on the Village of Baldwinsville website in the next day or two for our guidance on what we think would be a safe way to go through trick or treating.
Do you
And
think that either next week or the following week, you can talk a little bit on here, and then that way, I can share with some other organizations as well,
Sure.
verbally how you have. And if people have questions, if we're talking about it and you hear this now, if you have questions, get those questions in now so that you can address those maybe before you put out all the guidelines. It'll just be part of it.
And I know that today is the deadline to sign up for window painting. So if you have a child that would love to paint a window in the village downtown area, please contact the Town of Lysander Parks and Rec Department, and they will set you up. I hope they have a huge turnout this year. It'll be nice to see a lot of kids out and getting out of the house and maybe doing something fun. It's always nice if the weather's nice.
Yeah.
It's not raining, so then all the paint runs. So let's hope for a nice dry Saturday morning.
And I think they do need a couple more businesses because Tony, who's in charge of Parks and Rec, had reached out to me yesterday or the day before about they're using some of the buildings like 12 Oswego Street, but he asked me about Loop Road if they could use those windows as well, and I said of course. So if you're a business and you're on the fence and you're just debating about it, it would be nice just to make sure every kid that wants to paint has a window to paint. So
there you go. I'm on board with you. There are some other activities. I know that the chambers set up a business trick-or-treating thing on the 24th. That's from 12 to 3. I did see a sign, I think in Seneca Bank, that said trick-or-treating. Somebody had put a poster in the window that looked like, a homemade poster. So that some of the businesses will be available. I'm sure they're all going to do safe distancing type of stuff. Also,
I just want to mention they did give guidelines for that, and it was very similar. Don't let the kids reach into the bowl. Those types of things. So there are guidelines. If people are debating about bringing their kids out for that, we were given instructions on how to do it safely. So that was nice to be given those.
And I think that's a great idea. Also that day, the Wesleyan Church, which is right across from Tri-County Mall, where Tri-County Mall was, they're having a drive-in candy thing. So you're in the car, and I think they have 2 or 3 stops around the parking lot for people who want to give different candy. It's open to the public. Anybody that would like to do it can go over and do trick-or-treating safely in a vehicle. They do need candy. I know they were asking for people at the church to donate candy. So if anybody out there wants to contribute to the cause, you can contact the Wesleyan Church and drop off a couple bags of candy, that type of thing. So it's another hopefully safe way for people to get out and do something. It's not perfect. We never promised it would be perfect, but we are hoping that we can make it better than lousy, that kind of thing. Some people handle that stuff well. We had our down memory lane on Monday, and I think we had 8 people, including 7, not including Linda and I, and got yakking about all kinds of stuff, talking about TV and radio and just old stuff. And so we decided, my wife and I were talking, and Linda said, I think you should do it every week. Give people, because what you're going to get is one week, the person that was on last week won't be able to do it, but somebody new will, and you'll still have that usual 7, 8, 9, 10 people. And I've got to work better at getting people to speak up, because I tried to talk to generate interest. I talked about music and old radio shows, TV shows, and yet some of them were reluctant to. Maybe I didn't give them enough break to step in, but this week we'll do a little better job of saying, okay, what do you have to say, and what do you have to say? But it was interesting. Some interesting stuff that came out, and nice group of people. So we'll do it every week until we think it's running dry, and then maybe we'll take a break. But it was a good start. Some other things going on around the village. Brush is now weekly. They're picking up brush every week. I know that we had a huge pile this week because what we do is we have 4 or 5 houses all put their stuff in one spot. So the pile tends to get quite big. Again, the requirement is that you not put them in the street. I know that is hard for some people to understand, and it's hard for some people because they don't want to leave a blemish in their lawn. If they put their stuff out on a Tuesday, it doesn't get picked up till the following Monday. That's 6 days of their lawn getting no sunshine in that spot. Again, pick out with the neighbors and pick out a spot that is not particularly beautiful to begin with. You know, it's kind of got rocky or something. Throw your stuff on that spot, and maybe you can next year you can put it on somebody else's yard. You guys can people can rotate where it is. But if you put it in the street, we were out the other day over Frawley, Wilkinson, over that way. We turned the corner and ran over sticks, and they caught up under the vehicle and had to stop and pull it out. That's why you don't want them in the road. And then when they're in the road, if there's no sidewalk and kids are walking home from school and they have to go around that pile, now cars are trying to go around, it's a dangerous situation. So please try to find a spot. If you really don't want to tear up your lawn, put it on the edge of your driveway, you know, on the tarvia, and we'll rake it off and pick it up. Is it perfect? Probably not, but it's as good a system as we can come up with, given what we have. What else? We are still flushing hydrants. They did everything. The south side is complete. For those of you who are new to the village, the south side is over Tri-County Mall side of the river. And they're now over here on the north side. I noticed yesterday there was a sign on artillery. And so they have a 2-man crew out flushing hydrants. And that is for your safety, so that when and if, and hopefully not, there is a call, that when the fire guy goes to turn that valve, it turns, and it doesn't end up breaking it because it's frozen shut. So it's really is a safety thing, and please be patient. If you have a little turbulence in your water, just run the water for a minute and it'll go away.
You know, I probably wouldn't have noticed that work getting done. You know how you said there's a lot of work behind the scenes and then things like that are happening. I was by, I think it was by Tappan Road. They had one of the signs, and because you had mentioned it made me stop and look to see what was going on. So, but I was like, oh, that's what the mayor was talking about. And I didn't see the gentleman, but it was around lunchtime. They might've been doing something else, but the signs are visible. It's nice that they're out there. So
yeah. And I don't know if they maybe put them on the main street, and even if they get on the side street nearby, they assume that sign will be informative enough to tell people in the area that this is what we're doing.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and again, hopefully we don't have to ever use those hydrants for real, but it's nice to know that they've been loosened up and, you know, water has run through them and they're not going to be a problem come reality time. Work at the senior center. For people who don't understand what the issue was, that there's a big, what they call the dining room is a very big room. It's almost the size of a gymnasium. And what that is, that used to be a medical center way back in the early 70s, I think. I think it was Canton Woods Medical Center, and it did not include that area where the dining room is. It included the area like where the pool tables are and the offices, but not off to the right where Meals on Wheels operates and that kind of stuff. So there was an add-on, and then there was another add-on, and where they joined is where they had the divider door.
Mm-hmm.
They put 2 pieces of cement together, and there's a ridge. Well, they put this new flooring over it, and as soon as they got it on, you could see where that ridge was, and you knew that it was a tripping possibility because it was only up a little bit, but you know, when you got older people who shuffle their feet, it doesn't take much, and you also know it's a wearing point, you could picture in 2 or 3 years a crack there. They slide a table over it, and maybe it gouges it, and so we asked them to fix it. They came in, they cut a seam, rolled the stuff back, and we had a grinder come in and we ground it down. Now they had to order some more of that flooring, and we're just waiting for the flooring company to come back. I know the door is over there. The areas where the door would go and hide when they fold it up, and there'd be a door to sort of look like a closet. That was all taken care of quite a while ago. So it's just waiting for the flooring company to come. And we did get the okay from the county to bring some of these outside activities that we've been talking about, bring them in alone. So if it's Tai Chi, for instance, they could come in with 6 people, and with that big room, they could spread out and keep some fresh air coming into the room. They could clean anything anybody touches if they have to use chairs or tables. So there is going to be that ability, but right now we can't use that room because it's unsafe. Somebody could trip over this. The stuff is rolled back. Right? You worry about somebody not paying attention or thinking they can step over it. And, so like today, I don't think today's a big day over there for activity. Well, no, actually today might be the book club and art club. So I don't know what's going to happen with them. They may just have to cancel. But it's nice to know that there's the possibility of things moving inside, even on a very, very limited basis. Today is also the first day that I think that they had Wednesday lunch pickup. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, peace lunches. A little bit of normalcy, that's when they used to have them in the building. And I think that they may be now getting more people buying them and picking them up than we're actually coming to the center and sitting down to eat. So
Perfect.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Trying to see here. I did talk to Greg in Codes, and he was talking about the construction work on what will now be called Red Mill Manor. It's going to be a senior independent living. It's just going to be apartments for seniors, but it's going to be upscale. And first of all, it's a very nice building to begin with after the way it was fixed up. And I think they will get at least 2 meals a day available. So there'll be a kitchen and a chef on duty. So that they get up in the morning, you want eggs, you want pancakes, that'll all be part of your rent. They'll have, I don't know exactly the details, but I'm guessing that they'll have like a couple choices for dinner every day. You might have to do a menu ahead of time, like when you're in the hospital, you check off what you want. And it's going to be very nicely appointed inside. The work is to lift the roof up because some of the upper level apartments had roofs that you couldn't walk up to the wall. You'd hit your head. So they're raising the ceiling up, and that's the work you can see when you're coming across the bridge, looking to the right. You can see them putting an addition on the top, and that's what that's all about. Now, people there was a big discussion on Facebook because somebody wanted to know what was going on, and people were quick to point out, and then people were quick to say, well, why would anybody want to live there?
And, I know a lot of people that want to live there. I mean, they're not senior, they're not there of age to live there with what's going on there. But I know a lot of, 20, 30, 40-year-olds that thought that would be a great place to live and have access to everything in the community.
Well, that's what I think Mike Mazaway, I don't know if you know Mike, but his father ran the Corner Pharmacy, which is where the law firm is right on the corner of the Four Corners.
Okay.
And the Corner Pharmacy was a huge tradition. It burned I think in the 70s, changed the whole shape of our village when it was gone, because that was the hub of the downtown. Okay. It was not only a pharmacy, but it was a gift shop. They had a soda fountain in there for years, magazines, all kinds of stuff. And Leo Mazaway ran it with Jimmy Wood, and Mike is the oldest child in the Mazaway family, and he's a great resource of history in the village, during his time, particularly in the business district. And he was quick to point out to people because people say, how are you going to get your car out of there during traffic? And you're going to have the concerts. They'll probably cancel the concerts. So I went on and said, it's not going to affect the concerts. The guy who is running the project said he was there the night of a concert. He walked over to the canal keeper, the lock keeper, and said, when does the concert start? And he said, I think it started a half hour ago, because he couldn't hear the music, because it was, it goes upriver. You've got the whole amphitheater sort of blocking sound coming back to that building. So he said he saw no problem, and basically the concerts were there before the apartments will be there. I mean, we're going to have concerts, and Mike was quick to point out that you can walk to just about everything. I mean, you walk across the bridge, you're right at the cottage, you're at Sammy's, you have the new place down below, the Mexican place, you cut through the parking lot, you're at the diner, you go up the block, you're at Garlic, you're at Pizza Man, not that far to get to Sal's. Right across the street from there is the River Grill, the Canal Walk.
So I'm gonna tease you for a second, because everything that you're saying is restaurants. You're thinking like a man. I'm gonna tell you like a woman. You have Olive's Eatery. You have the boutiques that you can walk to. You have the hair salons you can walk to. You have Fashion Rescue. You have the candy shop. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna give the other side of that coin. But I was waiting for you to say something that wasn't food.
My wife would tell you that you were right on the money. That I'm thinking about where the food is. But the point Mike is making is, you're not far from the post office. You're not far from Kinney's. You're not far from the police station. If you got to go over and get a parking permit, you can walk to the police station. You can walk to Mercer Park. Got the trails start right there, on each side of the bridges. You can walk trails. If you're St. Mary's Church is a block away. The what used to be the Presbyterian or the Baptist Church is right on the other side of the canal from you. It's not far to the Methodist Church, the Presbyterian. I mean, everything is there. You might not ever have to worry about getting out in traffic, except maybe going to a doctor's appointment. So there's a lot to be said, and I think the places are going to be very nicely done. So would I rather see it be a hotel like it was? Yeah. I mean, it would be nice to know that when people came to town for a wedding, that there was a place right in the heart of the village, that they got to see our village firsthand. But it didn't work. And you can't hate people for wanting to not lose more money. So I hope this works well, that we get some nice people come in and add to our community. People don't realize that seniors are probably our number one group as far as giving time. They join flower clubs, they get in Rotaries, they're active in the community. So we have a great senior vibe here in the village, and this will, I think, just add to it. So that was one thing Greg pointed out. He also reminded me of the 2 payments that have been received from the county for 2 of the Main Street projects that are done. So that was pretty quick turnaround. So that should comfort you, knowing that when you're done,
you can read my mind.
You'll get your money quickly. I mean, Brian told you would, but now it's happening. So and good news for the county. I did not watch Monday. I watched most of Ryan McMahon's sessions because I like to keep up with what's going on. But I think he was in a state of shock because the sales tax was 10 million higher than last year.
Yep.
So no layoffs, at least this month. And I assume that the sales tax will continue because I think a lot of it is the construction work that's going on and the extra cost for lumber and all the parts of putting on additions, in which we know in the village, at least, there's a lot of that. And I'm sure there's a lot going on all over the county, and that sales tax on all that stuff. So
I believe it's the 14th. I'm talking to Brian May again, and I'm kind of curious to see what he has to say, like what topics he'd like to cover and stuff. So, but I saw that on Syracuse.com, and I thought that was great.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know how much people follow this stuff. I have become a huge Ryan McMahon advocate. Not everything he says is perfect, and I, some things I'm not as on board as he is, but generally I think we got started because of Upstate Hospital with the testing type of stuff earlier than most areas of the state did. And because of that, we were able to jump on some stuff and get ahead of it. And I think our county is in better shape. The things that they're doing to try to provide testing for the schools, so far, I mean, there's been some school going back to remote for 2 weeks and that type of stuff, but it's not been as bad, I think, as people thought it might be. So, I mean, keep your fingers crossed, pray, whatever you do. We want to keep people safe, and we want to have our lives somewhat normal. I mean, the kids that are trying to go to college, and some of the colleges have done better jobs than others. Some have been a disaster, unfortunately, in the state. But our county, for the most part, I think we've been a step ahead of everybody. And I just had a blurb pop on the top of my screen that New York State mayors are going to go after Washington for federal support for municipalities. Didn't hear before, but the last big round of the CARES Act provided money for municipalities of 500,000 or more. So in other words, big cities, that was the gist of it. Let's make sure New York City, Albany, Buffalo, whatever, if they're over 500,000, let's make sure that Chicago, let's make sure Los Angeles, they're all getting money. And the same thing with counties. Now our county is about 460,000. So we didn't qualify. Erie County is just over 500,000, I guess. They qualified, and all their municipalities have all the money they need. Our municipalities are struggling because we happen to be 40,000 under that mark. The push is let's help the municipalities. Now I understand in New York State, there's a big concern that, we're cutting back, this bail reform is not very popular outside of the governor's mansion and the mayor of New York's mansion. The rest of the state is not really on board with letting people get arrested and get turned back loose immediately to cause more problems. And so now the president has taken it upon himself to say, we're not going to support lawless Democrat-run states. Except that, what about Onondaga County, which is a Republican-led county? Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater type stuff. Support the communities that have done well and paid attention and didn't have to get as much help during the hot spots during the COVID stuff when it first came out. Ryan McMahon went out and got masks. He got gloves. He spent money. Pay him back. Reward him for doing good things. If the county's in good shape, the city's going to be in better shape, and then all the villages and towns will be in better shape. I know people didn't like Reagan's trickle-down economy. They didn't think it worked. But in this case, it does trickle down. The county takes care of us. So let's get the county taken care of. So I'm off my high horse now. But I have been doing a lot of writing to senators from outside of New York. People like Rick Scott in Florida, who is one of the ones that's been very vocal about don't support states that are, because of their lawlessness, are in debt, and now they're begging for money. That has nothing to do with COVID. It has to do with lousy management type stuff. And I'm pointing out to him that because you don't happen to like Andrew Cuomo, doesn't mean you shouldn't like the people of New York State. We need help. So I've written New York or Florida, Texas, Ohio, North Carolina, particularly Republican senators who have been vocal against supporting Democrat-run states. That not everybody in a Democrat-run state is a Democrat. So you're hurting people that don't deserve to get hurt by your standards. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, I'd like to say something as a community member, which is the fact that, we've been doing these interviews every week, and I've never heard anybody say, anything about, oh, the mayor's not in his office doing work. So none of that comes into play when I make this statement, Mayor. But just listening to you as somebody who lives in the village and is part of Onondaga County, the fact that you're taking the time to write letters, you know what I mean? Like just taking another step to try and bring in money to help the community. Like, I just want to say thanks. That was actually really nice to hear that you're taking the time to do that. I mean, everybody says you do this or that, it's not going to do anything, but it's just that one more piece, right? What if that's the last piece that's needed to make a difference, to make a change? So if everybody just does that one thing, there really can be a positive change. So thank you.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. And it's a very interesting thing is with the fella in Florida, Rick Scott, who was the governor before. When I wrote his office, I got a email back that your area code or your zip code is not in his jurisdiction. So, go into the system and find out who you should be contacting. So I wrote back and I said, well, I'm contacting him because he's been outspoken that places like New York don't deserve any help. And again, when we think of New York, everybody thinks of New York City.
Yeah.
And we're not all from New York City. The interesting thing is every week I get an email from his office asking me to support his campaign now because I wrote to him.
Yeah.
He can't help me, but oh, by the way, if you'd like to send me $20 or something to help me get reelected, I'd love that. I said, boy, some of these guys, you wonder why people have lousy images of some politicians. And okay, I don't want to get any further into that. That'll get me in trouble. Let me see if I have anything else that I wanted to mention. I've got the Canton Woods stuff. Ruth has been so good. I used to call her and I'd write down everything. Now she sends me an email with a list of stuff.
Nice.
They're still having falls prevention on Tuesday and Thursday. Limited space, so call ahead. The number at Canton Woods is 638-4536. The Peace Lunches, they're having a concert tomorrow at 3:00. It's supposed to be low 60s and sunny. So bring your own chair, bring a mask. You may want to bring a blanket for over your lap or wear a heavy jacket, whatever makes you comfortable. But it's George Leah, and he's very good. Food sense orders have to be in by today. Matter of fact, they had to be by 10:30. Scratch that. Drive Up Flu Clinic, October 21st, 9:30 to 10:30. This is going to be done by Walgreens. Wear a mask, bring your insurance cards, and stay in your car. The pharmacist will come to your car.
Okay.
And I will be there. Canton Woods Art Group, October 20th at 11:00 in the pavilion, weather permitting. The Book Club, October 20th at 2:00 in the gazebo. Beneath the Scarlet Sky is still the book. Halloween Fun, Friday, October 30th, starting at 2:00. So this is for seniors to drive through and get a Halloween treat. Wear a costume. Stay in your car. And your name's going to be entered in drawing for a prize. So this gets the seniors out of the house again. A little something to do. Obviously have a mask on, regular safety mask, and then if you want to put a mask over that, that's fine. So Halloween Fun on the 30th at 2:00. Nancy Sullivan, still taking appointments, HEAP or any other concerns. Two of the people that were on our Monday memory lane discussion thanked the center for the phone calls they got, because Nancy took the list of all the seniors and just started calling everybody. Are you okay? Do you need something? How you been? We miss you. And two of them, without any prompting, said, boy, we really like the fact that somebody called. It's nice to know that they know we're out here and we're not alone. There are some fundraisers. The calendar fundraiser, which my wife is involved with, is as soon as we get the best price we can get for printing, my wife will start ordering, and then we'll put out how to order. And we already have 2 volunteers to help deliver calendars to people's houses or businesses, whatever. And if anybody would like to get involved with any more than that, go to the Baldwinsville calendar page. And there's also going to be holiday wreaths at the center. I don't know a lot about that, but they're live. So I'm guessing maybe the art group, maybe somebody else at the center makes wreaths, and you can buy them. So if you're interested in a wreath for Christmas, call the center, let them know. And this is a fundraiser because the center lost the car show, which is a pretty good fundraiser. I don't know how they did with the Walk for the Woods, which was a month-long virtual walk. Hopefully they did well there. So they're trying to keep things going, and while they're helping the center with some money, it keeps people busy. In a lot of cases, people like me need to stay busy, because when I sit around and start thinking about, what's coming ahead, the holidays, and will we be able to see our families at all? I don't know. We're still leaning towards the side of being not scared, but cautious, more cautious than a lot of our friends and family. And so we may pay the price a little bit at the holidays, but nice to know we might get through alive. That is a concern.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff going on. We're going to be advertising for our engineering position. We are going to be looking for a treasurer. So if there's anybody out there with a background in financial type stuff, bookkeeping, that would like to have a part-time job with the village, contact the village clerk. We haven't actually posted it yet, but at least you get your name in.
Thinking about it.
So, I don't expect it'll be 50 or 60 people looking for that job. That's a tough job. I mean, you're talking about stuff that's going to be very closely watched by the state and the county and the village board.
Yep.
It's important that we know where our money is and how it's getting spent. And but it's a very rewarding job. And I think Anna Custer, who has been on since I've been here, is just terrific. But she's had a long career in banking, and then she's had now several years of this. And I think Anna is ready to just enjoy freedom, and I don't blame her. So if you are a person who's worked in a comptroller's office, whether municipal or private, and looking for, and you know somebody, it's a pretty nice job. Nice people to work with, safe. You have your own office when you can close the door. No, people can't come in and harass you with germs. And Anna, one of the hard parts with Anna is she's in the middle of our Christmas festivities, our parade. She's just in everything.
Yeah.
But she volunteers a lot. I mean, there's a lot of days when she's in the office and she says, I'll be back. I got to take somebody to a doctor's appointment. She's a volunteer for taking people to doctor's appointments, seniors. So she's a very busy person, and I understand she wants to slow down a little bit. So, and we are getting ready to interview for our water department position. And we got a couple hundred people applied for that because we posted on something called Indeed, which I'm not real familiar with, but we got people from all over the country sending applications. So we'll pare it down to what look like 4 or 5 good candidates, and then we'll start interviewing people and hopefully get them working within the month. Chuck has been keeping everything going. He could use that extra body to, we're doing the flushing of hydrants. We have to start thinking about replacing water meters. We have to put up Christmas decorations pretty soon. Doesn't sound like, we're talking basically a month away. They start putting them up, and we still have buckets of flowers on the sidewalk to pick up, benches, things like that. So, and we're working on our Main Street project. We're trying to get lined up so that when we can get a contractor to put in a sidewalk, we'll be ready to go. It's probably going to be spring. So there's everybody thinks that with the virus, it's really quiet.
No.
The hard part is you would probably understand, a lot of people wouldn't, but almost nothing happens without people contacting me now. Before, decisions that Mo made or the chief made or Public Works made. They did everything on their own. Now everything is always, do we need to be concerned about COVID? Are we worried about our budget being tight, not getting enough money at the end of the year? Should we not think about spending money right now? So things that were easy to do now become one extra step every time, usually through me, who then I funnel it to somebody else.
Right.
So we're busy, and I appreciate everybody in the village has really pulled together. The businesses have done a great job. The village looks great. People have been taking care of their yards and flowers. I've never seen flowers look as nice in people's yards. The landscaping doesn't go unnoticed. I know you're the type spots that stuff right away. And
I love it.
so,
Yeah, there's quite a few houses that just had a complete transformation from the spring and now going into fall. And not everybody can do it, so you don't have that expectation for everybody. But when it is being done, to watch that progression it was really neat in a couple houses, because as you know, I walk around the village a lot. So
yeah.
I do want to mention, as far as activities in the village, the Methodist Church is doing another fried dough this Saturday. It was so well received when they did it a month or so ago. They ran out of fried dough at 3:00. So the Methodist men have put together another funnel drive-through for this Saturday. So they asked me to help. I can't help because I'm doing that sleeping heavily piece where you build a bed for kids. So hopefully someone monitors me, because some kid has to sleep in the bed that I put together. But I'm gonna give it my shot.
Well, I know that there's through the Wesleyan Church, and I'm sure other churches are involved, but there's I think Operation Christmas Child or something. I can't think of the exact name of it, where they put together packages, usually shoebox size, full of pens and pencils and notepads and little toys and stuff like that they send all over the world for Christmas type stuff. If it's this type of thing you'd like to do, I know the Wesleyan Church does it, but I think other churches do. And I know there's been years where we had close to 200 shoeboxes going out. And it's funny, one year we sent them out, my wife's father was 100% Lebanese, and my grandmother's dad was from Bulgaria. That year, the 2 boxes we put out, sometimes if you ask them, you checks a box, they'll let you know where the box went. Mm-hmm. One of them went to a child in Lebanon and one to a child in Bulgaria. I get goosebumps thinking it was so eerie to think that somebody from our heritage got a box from Baldwinsville, New York. Kids. We have kids in Baldwinsville that are impoverished. And then you think about some of these countries where 90% of the people are, and there's no government program to help because the governments don't have any money either. So I guess people should realize that we are pretty blessed around Baldwinsville, but in America, and let's keep it that way. I love it.
I do too.
And you've been a great addition to our village landscape, and I know I told you that before, but I hear it from other people too. So thank you for everything you do for us.
Well, thank you. Like I said, I enjoy it, so I don't give it too much of a thought. But all right, well, another great conversation with a ton of information. And like I said, I'll be looking forward to the trick or treat guidelines, because I definitely would like to be one of the houses that and a lot of other people are too. But we want to do it safely, and we want the kids to feel safe. Coming to the houses. So,
sure.
Yeah. I will enjoy it. Thanks, Mayor.
See you in a week.